I'm going to say something that might sound crazy. Yuta Okkotsu might actually be the most dangerous sorcerer in Jujutsu Kaisen. And it's not because of his power, it's because of who he is. Because when you really look at Yuta, he's not built like someone who would survive in this world. He's too kind, too emotional, too attached to people. And in Jujutsu Kaisen, those are the exact traits that get you killed. This is a world where the strongest sorcerers survive by becoming colder, more detached, less human. You're not supposed to care too much. You're not supposed to get attached. And you're definitely not supposed to let your emotions control you. But Yuta does all of this. And somehow, he's still standing at the top. Which makes no sense. Because by all logic, Yuta should have been one of the first to break. And yet, he didn't. Instead, he became something else entirely. Let's start with the obvious. Yuta is just broken. And I don't mean that in the usual anime way where a character is just strong. I mean the rules don't apply to him the same way they apply to everyone else. His cursed energy alone already puts him in a different category. It's not just a large reserve, it's overwhelming. The kind of energy that lets him fight multiple high-level opponents without slowing down, without panicking, without losing control. Most sorcerers have to manage their energy carefully. Yuta doesn't. And that alone already puts him in a position where most fights are unfair. But what really pushes him over the edge is his technique. Yuta can copy abilities. And this isn't something small. In a world where your entire identity as a sorcerer is built around one cursed technique, Yuta can just bypass that limitation completely. He's not locked into one fighting style. He's not predictable. He adapts. And that means every fight against Yuta becomes a losing game the longer it goes on. Because the more you show him, the more dangerous he becomes. And then there's Rika Orimoto. And this is where everything changes. Because Rika isn't just power. She's the physical manifestation of Yuta's emotions. His attachment, his grief, his inability to let go. Which means his strength doesn't come from discipline or control the way it does for other sorcerers. It comes from feeling. Before the Culling Games even fully get going, we get one of the most underrated Yuta moments. He fights against the Yuji Itadori. And this fight tells you everything you need to know about him. Because on the surface, Yuta is sent to execute Yuji. And he does it. He doesn't hesitate. He doesn't drag it out. And that's what makes it so uncomfortable. Because this is the same Yuta we just said is kind, emotional, caring. But in that moment, he's efficient, precise, almost cold. And that's the scary part. Because it shows that Yuta can switch. He can do what needs to be done, even if it goes against who he is. But then we find out the truth. He heals Yuji immediately after that, which completely flips the situation. Because now you realize Yuta was never trying to kill him in the first place. He was playing a role, balancing the system while still protecting someone he believes in. And that's where it clicks. Yuta isn't just strong, he understands the world he's in and knows how to move within it. Now let's talk about the Culling Games. Because this is where Yuta really shows the gap between him and everyone else. That fight against Dhruv, Yuro and Ryu wasn't just another battle, it was a statement. Against Dhruv, Yuta doesn't waste time. There's no dramatic build-up, no struggle, he just handles it. Clean, efficient, done. And that alone tells you something. There are levels to this, and Yuta is already operating above certain players in the game. And Yuro is not easy to deal with. She can literally manipulate space, which means landing a hit on her isn't something you can just brute force. Most fighters would struggle here. Most fighters would get frustrated. Yuta doesn't. He slows down, he watches, he adapts, and there's something that gets overlooked a lot. Yuta is not just strong, he's smart in the way he fights. He doesn't rush in trying to overpower everything. He understands what he's dealing with first and then responds. Then comes Ryu, and Ryu is the complete opposite. He's not about technique or trickery, he's raw power, pure output. The kind of fighter that overwhelms you with force alone. And what Yuta does here is what really stood out to me. He doesn't avoid it, he meets it head on. That's confidence, the kind that comes from knowing exactly you're capable of. And then we get the moment where Rika fully manifests. And this is where the fight shifts completely. Because now, it's not just Yuta anymore. It's Yuta with access to everything. More cursed energy, more techniques, more pressure. At that point, it's not really about who's stronger anymore. It's about who can survive the longest. And against Yuta, that answer becomes obvious very quickly. But here's the part that really makes Yuta different. And this is what I think people don't fully appreciate. Yuta's strength isn't just his abilities, it's his mindset. Because if you look at most strong characters in Jujutsu Kaisen, there's a pattern. They become colder over time, more detached. They start to see people less as individuals and more as responsibilities or even obstacles. That's how they survive. Yuta never does that. He stays the same at his core. He still cares, still feels, he still fights for other people. And in a world like this, that shouldn't be a weakness. That should slow him down. That should make him hesitate. But it doesn't. If anything, it pushes him further. Because Yuta isn't fighting for himself. He's fighting because he has something to protect. And that changes everything. Because when you're fighting for yourself, there's a limit to how far you're willing to go. But when you're fighting for someone else, that limitation disappears. And that's what makes him different. He's not trying to be the strongest. He's not chasing power. But he keeps ending up there anyway.